Hello, everyone. Again, I'm joining with my MCH Auth team now so that we can let you know. Hello, everyone. We are joining with the MCH Auth team now so that we can briefly address some of the common concerns that you have. As I said to you at the end of this lecture or the video, you will have a lot of links and email address that you can email us for any queries that you have. So we are joined by Libby, who is the MCH Auth, who was MCH Auth coordinator. She's just about moved, but she has probably the greatest knowledge that we have. We're also joined by Kenzie, who is our course administrator. Sadiq, you met in the previous lecture. He's our IT man and does everything for MCH Auth and is a big support to me. And finally, I'll introduce you to Pavitra, who is was the class monitor for this year, and she is now successfully finished her MCH Auth course. She's an MCH alumni now, so congrats, Pavitra. And she's flying off to India tomorrow, back to Kanyakumari. So, Libby, let's start with you. And so, some of the students maybe thinking of just applying first. So, what's the best way of apply? How long is the process, and is there help at hand?
Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Jariwala. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. So yes, applying actually for the MCH Auth program is a relatively easy process. It's a direct application system, so you just apply directly through the website. Some of you may choose to go through an agent, and that's entirely up to you. They can help you through a lot of the process, but that's very much an individual decision. I would always advise when applying to have all of the documentation that you're likely to need to hand. That makes the whole admissions process much quicker, much slicker. So we're talking about all of the academic qualifications that I think Mr. Jariwala will have taken you through earlier, but we're also talking about references and you'll be asked to evidence your English language level. So either an IELTS qualification or something similar. So if you have all of that documentation to hand, then use it when you're applying and that will make the admissions process much faster. Now, normally we would expect admissions to take around anywhere between sort of 5 and 10 working days, but it depends on the complexity of your application itself. So I would say that when you're making an application, make sure you check your emails really carefully, because the admissions team will contact you directly if they're looking for additional information. And often university emails can get pushed into your spam or junk folders, and that can delay the process a little. So make sure you check all of your emails really, really carefully. And then, once you make an application, you'll be introduced to my colleagues within the international engagement team. And that is the team that will help and guide you through every step of the admissions process. It's a team who will be in touch with you through a variety of methods. So you may choose to email them, but you might be in touch with them through WhatsApp or possibly Facebook Messenger, whichever method suits you. I think I was in touch with Pavitra through WhatsApp primarily, but and it varies from country to country. But that will be your contact, your direct contact with the university, within the central sort of team, as it were, and they will be able to guide you through all of the admissions process from accepting your offer, meeting your conditions, making your minimum tuition fee down payment, applying or looking for accommodation, right through to your CAS and then the visa application, and then your journey and arrival in Dundee. So your engagement officer, and I'm not 100% sure who that will be at the moment, but there is a general international engagement team address that you'll be given once you make your application. They will be the best people to guide and advise you throughout that kind of admissions process. And that person will typically, or the team will typically be in touch with the school really closely about your application. So, it's a kind of a team approach, very much a team approach with the MCH Auth program.
Thank you, Libby. That's very, very helpful. And as Libby said, that if you have all the documentation ready, when you're applying, it's very easy for us, because the team sits down every week to look at all the application. We can look at it and say, yeah, that's fine. That's an unconditional offer. Straight off on you go. But so if some of the documentations are not there with you, then we'll give you a conditional offer and we'll ask you to submit in due course. But that shouldn't differ you to if you don't have a CV or your boss, your consultant or the referee is away for some time, apply, because we can always get the other one. So you'll get a conditional offer if you meet the minimum entry requirement. So one other thing was, Libby, was, so there are some awards available for students. So can you just briefly tell us about them, please?
Yes, so scholarships that are available from within the University of Dundee. Now, the scholarships are decided on a yearly basis. So I think probably it's a good idea for me to talk around the three major scholarship categories that we have. So we have we have three scholarships that sit kind of within the same pot. So we have our Global Excellence Scholarship, which is worth £5,000 as a tuition fee discount. And that will be automatically, you don't have to apply for that. You will be assessed for that automatically when you make your application. So the admissions team will look at your application and they will let you know whether you've got the Global Excellence Scholarship. If you're not awarded the Global Excellence Scholarship, then you may be eligible to apply for the Global Citizen Scholarship, a mouthful there, or you may be automatically eligible for one of our regional scholarships. So, for example, this year we've had regional scholarships for applicants from Africa, all of the African nations, and we've also had regional scholarships for all of the applicants from all of our South Asian countries. So all of our applicants from India have been eligible for our South Asia scholarship this year. Now, you cannot hold more than one of those scholarships from those three. So it's either the Global Excellence, the Global Citizen Scholarship, or one of the regional scholarships. But there are other scholarships available, sometimes from outside of the university, that you might be eligible to apply for, such as the Saltire Scholarship, if you come from one of those countries. And if you have a family member, a close family member, who is an alumni from the university, you may be eligible for the alumni scholarship as well. And there are quite strict criteria on that. So, but it's definitely worth looking into scholarships. And again, the engagement team will be your best point of contact to find out about those. They are decided on a year-by-year basis, and they do change. So, but the international engagement team will have all of that up-to-date information.
Good. Thank you, Libby. So it's important as just remember when you're applying, think about the awards or the scholarships that are available. Thanks, Libby. So once we have applied, Kenzie, just tell us what happens once their application comes in.
Yeah, so once you have applied and we have received your application, admissions will check your application to make sure that you've got all the documents required. So Mr. Jariwala can review your application. If, as Libby said previously, if you've not provided all of your documents that we require, admissions will request this from you. So it may make your application process just a little bit delayed. If you have provided all the documents that we require, your application will then be sent to us by admissions, and we then update your record with all the relevant information. This then gets passed on to Mr. Jariwala, and he will review your application, as he said, in a weekly meeting, and he'll make a decision on your application. Once this has been done, I then update your record again and process the decision, and that's sent to admissions. Admissions then update their records, and we will then notify you shortly after, probably a couple of weeks or so, and that you'll be informed of your outcome. If you've got a conditional offer, you can accept your offer and prepare to meet the conditions. So if you have English language requirements to meet, you can start to think about arranging a test, or if you need any more information on that, as Libby said, the international team can guide you on this and give you further information if you need it. If you have an unconditional offer, you can accept this, and then admissions will provide further information on what you need to do as your next steps. Usually that will be your deposit and then moving on to the CAS process and things like that. So that's basically what we do with your application once we receive it.
Thanks. So unfortunately, Sheila is not here, so I'll take her role. So once you've applied, everything has gone through, and you're allocated a place for example, January 2022 or September 2022, you'll be informed of starting date. So we normally bring you in a couple of days, sort of a week before, because of the COVID times. We need to get ready for the course. In addition, what Sheila and Kenzie will do is send you some documents for occupational health clearance, and also some reading materials to prepare for your startup Once you come here, we'll get you assessed by the occupational health to get your vaccination done so that you're ready for your NHS attachment, which is one of the things that you're looking forward, because you want to come and scrub up your surgeons, scrub up, go to clinics, see surgeries, and see how we do orthopedics in UK. The lectures will start thereafter, and I'll hand it over to Sadiq to tell you how the lectures at the moment are working with live lectures, what support you have. We have a WhatsApp group, so he'll update you about this. Sadiq, please.
Hello. For lectures, we use our IT have like two platforms. We use a Blackboard and Microsoft Teams. So we have alternatives. So we can use either Microsoft Teams or Blackboard, depending on our lecturers. And once you have matriculated, you will receive ID and password, which is the huge. It will open up huge resources for you. So this ID and password you can use for many resources like your library, your Wi-Fi. And this ID you can also use when you travel within UK. You go to another university, you still can use Wi-Fi there as well. And it opens up all the international journals and books and all those resources as well. So that can be used as soon as you receive your ID and password after matriculation. Then once you start, probably we have like hybrid kind of teaching now. So we'll have face-to-face as well as online. So this way can go simultaneously now. So last year, it worked very well. So while doing face-to-face, you can have online session as well. It will be recorded and it goes to your coursework. So you at a later date, if you want to view that and see how the lectures was done, if you want to catch up anything which you have missed during the lectures, that you can do. If you have not be able to attend for any reason, you can still view those lectures. Again, sometimes it will depend on sensitivity of the lecture as well. Sometimes lecturers don't want to record if they have some clinical cases which has issues with all the sensitivity. So those sometimes we don't, but majority of the lectures will be recorded and you will be able to view them online anytime of your time. I can share my screen with you to show you how it will be like. So this is one of the platform, Blackboard, which we use for all the coursework. So if I go in there, so it will look something like this, where you can see like upper limb, hand, wrist, and then you can browse through, and then you will see all the lectures in there. We also use Microsoft Teams, which is like this, and we have all these lectures recorded for you. So you can download and view in your own time as well.
Okay, thanks, Sadiq. And also Sadiq manages the, if you unshare your screen, please, Sadiq. So Sadiq also manages the WhatsApp group when you're here. So there's a small WhatsApp group so that you can ask any questions that are happening or anything that you want to ask. So there is help at home, help at hand. And also this WhatsApp, poor Sadiq helps you out on the weekend as well. So there's a lot of help for you. Okay. Now, before I hand it over to Pavitra, so once the MCH finishes, so basically there are options, as I said to you before. Options are most of the students go back to India because they're practicing consultants and they just want to get on with things, start cutting and become the better surgeons that they've been taught to become in Dundee. Some of you want to do a little focused fellowships. This year we will not be able to do that because of the COVID, but we'll be opening up next year. So it will be all focused plus subspecialty fellowship. And I'll discuss this in the first couple of lectures when I meet you. And then some of you might want to sit MRCS or PLAB to work in UK, and that's another good opportunity because a lot of what we teach here, a lot of things you see of how to manage patient you already see in the clinics. So a lot of your MRCS is being helped by the MCH Orth course. So it's a good time to do it. Again, some of you, the family is not here, so you have more time on weekends to read about MRCS. And at the moment, UK is needing lots of doctors, good doctors. So it's a good time to come to UK. So with that little sort of team brief, I would then like to invite Pavitra, who was our course or class monitor. And she's an orthopedic surgeon from Kanyakumari with a family of orthopedic surgeons. And she came to do her MCH in the COVID time. So very brave of her. She was the lone female warrior. So and I always believe that the female species are better than us. So I made her the class monitor. And she has done very, very well, keeping all the boys in control. So what we will, as I said, from all of us, you will always hear good things, but I wanted to bring in Pavitra so she can share her experience because she's the one who went through the COVID, how did she find the course? What was the support? How did she find the lectures, the teaching, the clinical attachment, the exams, and then how does she find herself in terms of how she was 10 months before coming to MCH? So Pavitra, all yours.
Thank you, Mr. Jariwala. That was a very nice introduction. Thank you, so kind of you. We were actually a very lucky batch and a very small batch of only 7 students. We joined in January, and all the UDOF staff members, including Libby, Sheila, Sadiq, Ian, Graham, everyone, we were accustomed to the course and the schedule even well before we arrived to Dundee, and they were very helpful in finding us accommodations and suggesting the places to stay around nearby. And Sheila did a wonderful job in giving class schedules. We had online classes, and almost how much ever possible we even had face-to-face interactions, and the department was very keen on us to join in clinics and face-to-face lectures. So we were requested and advised to meet the NHS people to get our first vaccines, and we got our vaccines, and we were able to go to the clinics, attend OT, attend fracture clinic and morning trauma meets. They were and all the consultants, all the registrars, they were very helpful, very friendly, and very approachable. So any doubt we have, any suggestions we have, any treatment plans we have, we were always welcome to share our thoughts with them. And I would say this was one of the best experience I've had. And Dundee, University of Dundee and Nine Wells has the world well-known Thiel cadaver, so we could have a very good hands-on feel of the anatomy classes in Thiel cadavers, which is very different field from what we have learned with formalin-based cadavers. And also we used to have well-scheduled workshops based on the class timings, what we have. If it's upper limb, then we'll have upper limb workshops, lower limb with lower limb workshops. And they were very, very useful in trying to recollect our anatomy and how to focus on the surgical point of view. The only little discomfort was, to have online classes because of COVID, but all the professors and consultants from all over UK and even sometimes abroad, they were very they would give us spare time to have a very interactive and long sessions. Any doubts we had, no doubt was small, no doubt was considered stupid or not of any importance. Every doubts were cleared, and I would say that we might have not had that experience sometimes during face-to-face interactions, because we'll be in a hurry to go to theater and see the next patient. So having few hours to ourselves to discuss on regarding each x-rays or on each topic, that was actually a plus, I would say. And going around Scotland, we could use our student ID cards and student ID bus pass, so which we could go around in Scotland in buses. And it was a wonderful experience. I'm so blessed to be here. Finished an MCH successfully. I would really thank Mr. Jariwala, Sadiq, Libby, Sheila, Ian, and my research mentors, Mr. Clift, Mr. Tim Drew, and in his mechanics class. And they were also very helpful in refining our thesis. We could mail them all our rough drafts, and they would do proofread and help us even during the weekends. So this was really a very friendly approach, and that made me very comfortable going to go to the next step in my life. Taking back, I came to know more of research-based evidence, how to go ahead with a case, how to plan a surgery, and research more. I focus more into research process, and also what is the latest advancements, what is the latest and in trend diagnosis and procedures, whatever is there in the world is known to every consultant here. So overall, it was a very wonderful experience, and I would suggest everyone to register and do this course. Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Pavitra, for that,
Thank you.
like sharing your experience. And I think that's generally the experience the most of us, or probably all of the students, will have.
Yes.
And I think because of the team, we were able to completely disregard COVID. And our external examiner from last year, he mentioned in the main school medical school board meeting that it seemed as if COVID did not happen in UDOTS. So I think that was a big statement for somebody who's completely external to us, has no bias. He doesn't know our system, but when he went through a system, he felt as if the COVID didn't happen in UDOTS and everything worked smoothly. So, and that's a big testament of the hard work that people do behind the screen, behind the shop, to make all the students happy and make sure they reach their aims. So thank you, everyone. Thanks, Pavitra. Good luck with your flight. A safe flight and good luck. And hopefully we see you in Kanyakumari. Thanks, Libby. Hope you have a good job. I'm sure it will be not as good as this, but I'm best of luck. And thanks, Sadiq and Kenzie, for joining. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
Take care.